I'm the street preacher, baby. Been preaching on these streets. I'm the street preacher, baby. 7 days old.
Said Papa was a Rolling Stone. He dropped his hat and made our house his home. He left me and my mama alone. So what's a boy to do all on his own? Hello, and welcome back to the Visible Man Podcast, where men are not only seen, but we are heard as well. I am your host, Mista Marshall, the street preacher. And on the Visible Man today, we will take the lyrics from the relevant songs and we will break them down and use them as topics of the day. On today's episode, we will discuss the lyrics from my song, The Children. And as I was speaking before, the lyrics go a little bit like this. Papa was a Rolling Stone, dropped his hat and made our house his home. Left me and my mama alone. Now what's a boy to do all on his own?
You see, Papa was a Rolling Stone. Dropped his hat and made our house his home. Left me and my mama alone. Now what's a boy to do all on his own? The children are the future. Gotta lead them the way they should go. The children are the future. Gotta give them a game so they can grow. The children are the future. Gotta lead them the way they should go. The children are the future. Gotta give them a game so they can grow.
Now let's just take this one step at a time, okay? Let's just take Papa was a Rolling Stone. He dropped his hat and he made our house his home, okay? I'm going to stop it right there. Now, just to think about this, first of all, Papa was a Rolling Stone. He dropped his hat and made our house his home. Y'all heard of the Temptations? Papa was a Rolling Stone. Okay, it was the 3rd of September. Yeah, that one. Well, this is my spiel on the whole thing. You know, in the song, if you think back, it talked a lot about his dad. And, man, it was just a picture of a black man that really was nothing to be proud of. I think that a lot of the things that were done in the past were done to sabotage the, what do you call it? I guess I would call it to sabotage the look of the black man. We never looked like anything but a pimp, a hustler, somebody that will up and leave you hanging dry. Now, we was tough guys. We will kill. We will be criminalized. And we will do criminal activities. If we go according to what the media says and draws the pictures of, then we will be stereotyped into believing that we are supposed to do what we are doing right now. And right now, we are leaving our families. Now, I say this, in the black and brown communities of America, the man was always pictured as Mr. Hit and Run, responsibility dodgers, and promise makers and not promise keepers. And that was the past, but now we want our families back. We want to become more visible in our families and communities because they need us to survive. The lives and legacies depend on the strength of our leaders, y'all, and their abilities to carry the load when it seems impossible. The question is, what's it gonna take? What's it gonna take to keep the men in the home, and why are they not there? Do the men have issues? Do we have issues? Yes, Lord. We have issues. And we have to deal with these issues with the people that we love. We have to deal with these issues because they are not going anywhere. And men in my circle and the people I know and have been acquainted with, yes, they have issues. Now, one of the issues, I want to ask this: are you more valuable than money to the relationship? Are you more valuable than money to the relationship? You know how, the media is making us seem as if we are only worth what we can make or what we can bring in. And I disagree. But we'll talk about that a little bit. But are we more valuable than the money that we can bring into the relationship? Now, this is another one. It goes out to the brothers. Can you carry your own weight? Can you carry your own weight? Are you the type of brother that like to lay around, lay up on your lady friend, and let her pretty much take care of you? You cool with that? Are you really cool with that? Let me hit you with a statistic right quick. All right. It says that 2 in 4 mothers, okay? 2 in 4 mothers and 3 in 4 black mothers are defined as the breadwinners of the families. 2 in 4 of all families and 3 in 4 of the black families, the women are the breadwinners. Listen, is that by design or is it because of something that we are doing wrong? I don't know, but it could be by design. And although we are not all perfect, we still are worthy of respect. Because some of us bring the whole check home, although we may not make as much as the woman, but we still bring the whole check home. Now, what else are we bringing home that's making our home unhappy? Because they said that a breadwinner mother is defined as a single mother who heads a household irrespective of earnings, or as a married mother who earns at least 40% of the couple's joint earnings. Ladies, is your husband or whatever it is to you, is your housemate earning more than 60% of the household income? If not, you the breadwinner. Yeah, you the breadwinner. All right? So if it's 50-50, you still the breadwinner. That's by definition now. Ain't got nothing to do with what I feel, but that's just the definition. I had to look that up all the way on the internet. So that's just one thing that I want to ask. I got to ask another question, though. Is it a tradition for black men to lead their families? Is that a tradition? Why or why not? Man, I think back to when I was a kid, just about every black man I knew, well, no, I ain't gonna say every, but a lot of the black men I knew, they had a whole nother second family. Don't know how they afforded it, but man, they had a whole nother second family. Now, what wasn't happening was they was not leaving their families, their original families. Now, they had to go home to their wives and their original kids, but they weren't leaving home. They actually stayed at home and went through whatever it is that they had to go through to be at home, to be there for their families. So where did we go wrong? Got another question. Did slavery create the man that we know today? Think about that. Marinate on that for a second. Did slavery create the man that we know today? If you think about it, it's a possibility. Have you all ever heard of the Willie Lynch letters? Now, I'm not super versed in the Willie Lynch letters, but I do know a little bit about it. And what I did find out, or what I do know, is that there was a man who wrote a letter. He was from another country. And what he did was he was looked upon as the great slave breaker, in a sense. So pretty much what he did was he created a manual to help the American slave owners control and break their slaves and make them more loyal and need them more than ever before. Okay? So, a lot of it had to do with the way the slaves got treated, the rape, the incest, the whippings, making it public and letting everybody see a person get brutally beat. And what that did was it kind of let you know that if you did what they did, then you were next, pretty much. So in that process, it kind of broke up our families and the loyalty and the way the man was looked at, because the slave owners and everybody else just pretty much had their way with our women and families. Not just our women, but they had their way with our kids as well. And then they sold them. So therefore, the element of loyalty got lost somewhere down the line. And where there's no head, there's no guidance. Just think about this. What if you had a car without a windshield? And what if you couldn't see what was ahead of you? You would need somebody to guide you or something to guide you in order for you to make it where you were headed. And right now, our men need to step out the cracks and the crevices and reappear into society. We got to get some out of jail. We got to get some out the crack house. We got to get some away from other men. But if we don't, then our boys or our families pretty much are doomed. When I say doomed, I mean the blind leading the blind. Do you all realize who these children are listening to? They listening to people that can't see themselves. So, therefore, if you're not guiding your child, guess who is? Somebody that's blind. Yes, somebody that is blind. Marinate on that. And then don't get mad because your child is acting in a way that you don't recognize and you didn't raise them to act. You might not have raised them right. Or you might not have raised them. They might have gotten raised by something outside of your home. Think about that. So, brothers, let me just speak to you on this one. We can't let the thought of leaving our families even come into play anymore. We got to take them back. We want our families back. We want our people back. Let me see. Can y'all see my shirt? It says, "We out." Harriet Tubman, 1849. Now, what that says to me is that was a brave sister that took upon the responsibility to free her people. So, if she can do it, we can do it. But I need you to believe that you can do it so we can do it. I believe that. But if we keep on letting people teach us how to teach our kids and create our own ways of living, we got to get some entrepreneurs. We got to get some people independently thinking. Let me tell y'all one thing I thought about. I heard this stat. This is a little bit, this really not off the subject, but I heard this stat. And the statistic was, I think in 1790 or in 1870. It was one of those dates way back during slavery. 99% of black people, 99% of black people work for whites. Today, 98% of black people work for whites. Have we really come far at all? Or are we just spinning our wheels? Looks like we need to do something different. So I'm just saying, man, don't persecute me for being the one to just tell it. But 98% of us work for whites still. So were we trained to do this? We think that because we got a good job, it's the end all be all. We got to find a way to depend on ourselves and each other. Man, wow. I'm learning, and as I learn, I'll teach you, okay? Not claiming to know all of the answers, but what I do know is that black men need to get back in the home and lead these flock, lead our sheep. We got to lead our women. We can't let our women lead us. Yeah, they got the better jobs right now. So what we have to do is get this together. Got another question. You know I do. Now, is it a must that you, and their baby mama and their mama, and their mama still see each other. See, a lot of times men disappear because she tripping, or she got another dude, or we just don't get along. Hey, man, that's life. It's a lot of times where people just don't get along, but they still handle their business. See, a lot of times guys get ticked off and they like, man, forget you and that baby. But still, you gonna leave your baby to be raised by somebody else? Or you gonna take upon the responsibility yourself? Because check this out, the responsibility does not disappear. Now you might, but the responsibility of raising a whole child does not disappear. So is it a must that y'all kick it? Y'all might not be able to kick it, but y'all can still work together in the favor of that child. You dig what I'm saying? You can work with her and she can work with you. Y'all ain't got to have no little slick relationship. I mean, let bygones be bygones. So is it the guilt, power, the laziness, the fear, the confidence, or the inexperience? Like going from your mama house straight to a girlfriend without ever having to rely on yourself. Maybe you still a baby. Now, that's not a bad thing, because that was pretty much my situation. I went from my mama's house to living with my wife. And we've been together ever since. And this was like 31 years ago. But I was my own man from then to now. Sometimes we don't learn how to be our own men because we are pretty much defined by the women around us. So once we start to rely on that, then it's easier for us to not even have to worry about what mama used to do, now she does. So I'm good. Baby girl got me. I mean, but at the same time, if baby girl decides that she want to get up and roll, what you gonna do then? So what I'm saying to you is, although you have a person taking care of your seed, you still need to take care of your seed and teach them how to be independent, especially if it's a young man, because sometimes young ladies end up learning things along the way. Man, nowadays it's changing. But it used to be the fact that young ladies would learn things along the way from their mothers and aunts and different things like that, because most of the time the women of the family were the most active and they were most actively engaged around the children. So if you got a boy and he don't know how to do anything, then whose fault is it? We don't even want to point the fingers. What we want to do is to stop it. We got to stop this. We got to go ahead and bite the bullet. And if you got a girl, stick with her to the end. And try to find a way that you all can be there for them kids. Now let's just talk about these women issues, okay? Women have issues too on this situation. Does his value lie within the child support that he pays, or the level of respect that you have for him as a person? Now that's heavy. Does the child support, or does his value lie within the child support that he pays, or does his value, or pretty much does it happen, or does it control the level of respect you have for him as a person? See, sometimes when you ain't got no money, you ain't got no respect, especially from your woman. Talking to a young man, he and his children's mother, he was having issues because the only time he heard from the children was when they wanted some money. Well, a lot of times the children's behavior is taught. Sometimes the children are taught that the only value your daddy has in this situation is his money. If he don't have no money, then he can't even see you. What he gonna do? That's what they think. But the mere presence of a man makes a difference. Let me say that again. The mere presence of a man makes a difference. Now, what type of difference is up to the type of man. Okay? Now, if you got somebody that don't have no business being around you and your kids, that's different. But you got to give that man a chance to let the children see his value. Because guess who has the most influence on the children? Most of the time, it's the mother. So whatever she says is the gospel. So if that's the case, then men have to make sure that their presence is valued by showing value in their presence. You can't just show up and drop some money off and be like, I'm going to drop you off this, that, and the other. I'm going to keep it rolling. Got your boy in the car smelling like weed. The kids already know you ain't coming to kick it with them. Even if you come to pick them up, you probably ain't going to kick it with them. You're going to drop them off somewhere else. So we got to tighten up, gentlemen. We got to tighten this thing up, man. Okay? I want to ask the women this, okay? Women, this is for you. Are you using your child as a source of power in the relationship? Be real. Be honest. Sometimes the relationship has some things that you couldn't do that you can do now, because now you ain't dealing with him and he ain't your man. So since he ain't your man, you don't have to be nice to him anymore. That's kind of how these things are starting to go. I don't see where that's necessary, but that's just another sense of power. Maybe you didn't have power in a relationship, and now you do. But that's no way. That's a real abuse of power. So don't abuse the power, ladies. Because us guys, sometimes it's hard for us to bow down, or if we're in a position of power and all of a sudden we're powerless, it's hard to accept. So understand that that's what you're dealing with, okay? It's hard to accept all of a sudden now I got to listen to you and you've been listening to me all these years. It's hard to accept. I've been a baby daddy now. I am a baby daddy. So it's a lot of things that I experienced only because she had the upper hand. She had the child. Yeah, so it's real. It is definitely real. All right, now let me ask you this. Ladies, does it matter? We still talking about lady issues right now in this situation. We're trying to keep the man at the house. Now, if you can't, then can you still be civil? So does it really matter to you if he moves on or not? Or is it huge? Does that kind of determine how you treat him from that point forward? Maybe. Maybe not. But then we got the child. Yeah, it's always the child in the end. That's who ends up suffering because Papa was a Rolling Stone and he dropped his hat, made our house his home. Now, it looked like he dropped his hat, but maybe he left the hat behind because him and Mama couldn't get along. So that's why he had to roll on, because Papa was a Rolling Stone. Ooh, I'm a poet, and I know it. Okay. All right. Now, check this out. So, the child has issues as well. Now, I got another question for you. Will the child have to choose sides? Y'all know how that go. You want to know who he loves the best or who she loves the best or the most. So you might be tripping, trying to get the child to choose you over the other parent. Now let me ask you this. Will you as the custodial parent, mostly ladies, allow the child to have a relationship with the non-custodial parent? Because you know you can play the middle, right? You can get in the way of them having a relationship. Now, if the father has the children, he can do the same. Now, especially when y'all get like other mates, and y'all feel like the baby needs to know your mate or their step parents or whatever you want to call them. But it's still necessary for that child to have an authentic relationship with their biological parents. That's still important because it's important to their identity. Okay? They need to know where they are. They need to who they are. They need to understand why they do what they do. And sometimes you can only find out from the source. It's nothing you can go on the internet and look up and say, man, why in the world do I walk like this? Or is my laugh like this? Why my nose so big? Why my ears so little? I mean, when you don't have the answers, then it just kind of creates a lot of problems. I grew up without a father. And not because he left, it's because he died. But at the same time, didn't have no dad. So, I don't know whether it's something that was missing in my life. Maybe I had some issues, but I have a real issue. Or I have a real motivation for trying to be a father to children that are even not mine. As a teacher, I was a father figure in the classroom. So maybe it's because I lost my father when my mother was 3 months pregnant with me. Is why the Lord put it in my heart to try to help somebody else. So children have issues. And they have real issues. Sometimes they are not positive. It just so happened that one ended up being positive. But issues are definitely a part of what you're going to see within your child. I promise you that. But you got to be there in order to see it. You can't just pop up and then think it's all good. Another child issue, I think, is how can I get the most out of both of them? You know how they try to play both sides against the middle. So just think about that. sometimes you will get played. But you got to make sure if you know your child, the less you can be played. Okay? And the last thing I want to ask about a child's issue is a child would always ask, will my life be normal or this or is this the new normal? That's the new word we got since the pandemic, the new normal. So the children are asking, is this gonna be it? Or will my life ever go back to being regular? Good question. Probably you're gonna have to get ready for the new normal. It's probably gonna be a new normal. So there's something that children have to accept along the way. Okay? Now I talked about my song, right? It said Papa was a Rolling Stone. He dropped his hat, made our house his home. Left me and my mama alone. Now what's a boy to do all on his own? So we're gonna deal with this left me and my mama alone issue. Okay? So I got a few more questions. Can a woman raise a boy sufficiently? Can a woman raise a man, I guess, in so many words? Um, Another question. Are men making a big enough difference in their homes to be given the respect as the head of household? Why or why not? I'm going to slow down for a minute. Let's go back to this. Can a woman raise a man or can a woman raise a boy sufficiently? You looking at a man that was raised by a woman. I just told you my dad died when my mama was 3 months pregnant. So I truly believe that a woman can raise a man sufficiently, but he gonna have some issues. It's gonna be a lot that he does not know how to do and does not know how to deal with because he does not have a man around to bounce it off of. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. You know, woman can raise a man, but the man gonna have some issues. Okay, so just know that. Okay, I don't mean any harm, but holler at your boy and let me see what you think. Okay, can you marinate on that one and tell me what you think? I want you to respond to this too. That's what all these comments, all this thing is for. I need you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I need you to check me out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, so you can see and help me penetrate this realness into society. Okay? So I want to run this back. Are the men making a big enough difference in their homes to be given the respect as the head of household? Wow. Why not? Oh man. I don't live with everybody. But I try to make a difference in my home. I can't compare to what my wife do or does, but I try to make an impact on the people in my home in a positive way. It doesn't always come out like that, but I try. So I feel like I should have the respect of the head of household, but I don't think I would if I wasn't making no money. Just the truth. Hey, so I don't know. The difference is you got to make sure you there 10 toes down all the time. That way you can create your own relationships and you can lead your family in the way that they should be led by a man that loves them. Make sense? All right, now let me say this. Without guidance from a man that cares, Will our young men learn how to be productive husbands and fathers? Wow. Will our young men learn how to be productive husbands and fathers? The truth is, you don't have a choice. You really don't have a choice. You're either going to be productive or unproductive. Now, if you're going to be an unproductive father, your child is going to have a bad experience as it pertains to the man that's supposed to be in their life. I don't know if a man's going to come along that's going to change all that, but it won't be you. Because you decided to step away from the woman and the child. Now, you can step away from the woman without stepping away from the child. And even if she is a fool, you can work around her being a fool. It's going to be a little harder, but don't give up. Okay? You can't give up. See, let me say this. In order for our young men to be productive husbands and fathers, they have to learn from productive husbands and fathers. So I really, really send it right back to the men. You gotta be more visible. You got to play shortstop in your family. One of the most important positions on the baseball field is a shortstop. You got to play quarterback. You got to play point guard. Because the truth is, we losing our babies. We are losing our communities. We are losing our respect. We are losing. So in order for us to win, we got to get together and we got to show everybody that we are worthy of respect. We are worthy of you being able to depend on. We are worthy of your trust. We just got to clean it up. So everybody can't dump on us and expect us to improve. But you got to understand, some of us want to be the best man that you will ever see. So I say this, men, let's become the change that we want to see. Okay? So marinate on that.
I'm the street preacher, baby.